Good morning, friends. Jai Bhim. On 14th of this April 2025, as we are going to celebrate yet another birth anniversary of Babasaheb Ambedkar, it is a right occasion to reignite his vision on the Constitution and to mobilize for action. As we commemorate the 134th birth anniversary of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, the father of Indian Constitution, we the people of India are at a crucial juncture in our nation's history. Today, the core principles as enshrined in the preamble of the Constitution, that is liberty, equality, fraternity and justice, are under severe onslaught by the communal hegemonic forces under the guise of power they got under the same constitutional democracy. All these institutions which are meant to uphold the democracy and the constitution, including the higher judiciary to a larger extent, are being subverted, weakened and subjugated to the government. The freedom of expression, faith and dissent are being criminalized, crushed, and the secular fabric of our nation, which is known for unity in diversity, is being torn apart with draconian legislations, whereas the communal majoritarian forces are given free hand, are allowed to escape from the arms of law with overt and covert support of their governments, and making the core principles of the Constitution sidelined, if not discarded altogether. In these prevailing circumstances, how Babasaheb Ambedkar would have reacted and what he expected from the democratic secular forces, the political parties and the civil society to protect the constitution and save the nation from drifting into communal, majoritarian and autocratic state from the democracy, diluting the constitutional core values. Babasaheb Ambedkar, as you know well, had a very clear vision in framing and incorporating the preamble in the Constitution as a guiding philosophy. His aim in drafting preamble was to ensure liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith and worship, ensuring citizens freedom to express themselves and follow their own convictions. To promote equality, he aimed at elimination of all kinds of discrimination, especially caste, class, religion and gender, based on discrimination and inequalities. He wants to ensure equality of status and opportunity to all citizens with affirmative action for historically and socially oppressed classes, to create a level playing field, and strongly opposed the privileges based on the birth or wealth. He stressed the importance of fraternity, which is essential for the national unity and integrity while respecting the diversity of India. He further envisioned a sovereign, socialist, secular and democratic republic. All these are reflected in the preamble of the Constitution, reflecting his commitment to the social justice and equality and for an inclusive, just and democratic India. That is why he called the preamble as the soul of the Constitution, as it sets out the ideals, aim and direction for governance. As such, the preamble of the Constitution was declared as a basic structure of the Constitution by the Supreme Court in its judgment, overruling the judgment in Berbury Union Case 1960, which opined that it is only an introductory statement and not to grant any substantive power. While its judgment, but it was overruled in the judgment in Keshavananda Bharati versus State of Kerala 1973 by explicitly ruling that the preamble is the part of the basic structure doctrine and Parliament cannot amend the basic structure, which includes the principles enshrined in the preamble, and further reiterated and strengthened it in Indira Gandhi versus Rajanarayan 1975, Minerva Mills versus Union of India 1980, holding that the Parliament cannot destroy or alter the basic structure, and further held it to once again in S.R. Bommai versus Union of India 1994 by ruling that secularism, being a key part of the preamble, is a part of basic structure and cannot be compromised. So, any attempt to amend these core principles will be unconstitutional. However, for the last 11 years, that is 2014 onwards, these core objectives suffered serious dent as the Modi government, with brute majority in parliament, grossly undermined these core principles and failed to uphold the preamble spirit by selective and discriminative use of its authority. The fundamental rights of freedom of expression, dissent, religious freedom have been under severe stress and facing suppression and repression by totally undermining and diluting the democratic and secular character of the Indian Constitution. There are a series of cases about suppression of freedom of expression and dissent by abusing the institutions and agencies such as ED, IT, CBI, and ECI, etc. By cracking down on media houses such as BBC, The Wire, Newsclick, Caravan, and NDTV, either to force them to sell out their agencies or meekly obey its commands. Ultimately, as we have seen, NDTV succumbed to the pressure and went into the hands of Adani, an open ally of Modi government. So also the journalists like Kapan Siddiqui, social activist Gautam Navalka, Sudha Bharadwaj, Varavar Rao, and Father Stan Swami, and others are the victims of state suppression. Likewise, many anti-constitutional and draconian laws were misused either to suppress or silence the dissenters, opposition party leaders, civil rights activists, and branding them as anti-nationals or urban Naxals, violating the Article 14, 25 and other provisions of the Constitution. Added to this, the organizations like Amnesty International India, who extended financial help to the downtrodden, needy, and civil rights activists, faced action on the allegations of FCRA violations. Frequent internet shutdowns to curb the rights of the movements and protests have become very common and highest in the world also. Gross abuse of EAPA and Unlawful Assembly Prevention Act, Sedition Law, Section 124 IPC, by using them indiscriminately to incarcerate the dissenters, to undermine the secular character of the Constitution and fundamental rights of faith, worship, and religion. Many draconian laws were enacted, such as CAA 2019, anti-conversion and love jihad laws in BJP ruled states, and latest Waqf Amendment Act 2025. Apart from giving free hand to cow vigilance, to lynch innocent people, mob lynching, and hate-mongering speeches against Dalits, Muslims, and Christian minorities, targeting Muslim properties, business, and suppress them by economically by way of bulldozer system, boycotting Muslim business, meat, and halal shops, and even banning them in some BJP-ruled states. Misuse of institutions and agencies is unprecedented and in violation of constitutional ethos is alarmingly on the rise. Notable are the Election Commission of India, which has abdicated its power and responsibility and blatantly following the dictates of the government and manipulating the election process, including EVMs, to the advantage of the ruling party. Abuse of central agencies such as Enforcement Directorate, ED, CBI, and IT, targeting the opposition leaders and dissenters to make them either silent or to join BJP, has become a regular feature. The electoral bonds scam, which was struck down by the Supreme Court in 2024, was another instance of misuse of power. Even Parliament is no exception in misuse of power by the government due to its brute majority. The total partisan attitude of the Speaker of Lok Sabha and Vice Chairman of Rajya Sabha, forgoing their independent authority and expected neutrality, suppressed the voices of opposition. The institution of governor is the most abused one, as evidenced by the open violation of the Constitution by the governors in non-BJP ruled states, either by sleeping over or rejecting legislations passed by the state assemblies, thwarting the will of the people of the state to realize and implement these laws. It is heartening to note and welcome also that on 8/4/2025, the Supreme Court delivered a landmark judgment on the role of the governor by a scathing attack on Tamil Nadu Governor R.N. Ravi, who withheld the consent of as many as 10 bills passed by the State Assembly, reminding him that he must be guided by the values of the Constitution and the governor must know the limits of his role and respect the will of the people. And in this, the Honorable Justice Paridwala reminded what Babasaheb Ambedkar said. However good the Constitution may be, if those who are implementing it are not good, it will be proved to be bad. Thus, the violation of key constitutional values will have adverse impact on the principles of preamble, undermining the very basic basis of democratic fairness. So, how Ambedkar would have reacted to these blatant violations of the principles of preamble had he been alive today? That is the question. As the father of Indian Constitution and being the strong advocate of justice, liberty, equality and fraternity, he would have critically analyzed and reacted to these tendencies. Ambedkar stated that the essence of democracy is the right to dissent, and the greatest danger to the democracy comes from within, from those in power who misuse it, as it is absolutely right, and that is what literally happening and being witnessed as explained by me. He would have definitely condemned the undermining of secularism and religious freedom and its onslaught by the communal majoritarian forces on marginalized sections of the society, including minorities, by communal hatred, violence, mob lynchings, anti-conversion and love jihad laws, bulldozers justice. Long back he warned that if Hindu Raj becomes a reality, it will be a greatest calamity for this country. He also explicitly warned against communal, majoritarian and authoritarian tendencies, saying that if we wish to maintain democracy not in mere form, but in real sense, definitely Once again, I repeat, Babasaheb Ambedkar also explicitly warned against communal, majoritarian and authoritarian tendencies by saying, if we wish to maintain democracy not in a mere form, but also in fact, what we must do is to hold fast to the constitutional methods of achieving our social and economic objectives. You would have launched a movement against weakening of democratic institutions such as Parliament, ECI, Election Commission of India, Judiciary, etc., to restore their institutional independence and prevent autocratic drift. As Ambedkar envisioned, economic and social equality, warning against caste system and wealth concentration, and that is why he said, a democratic form of government must not only be a political democracy, but it should have social democracy at the base and economic democracy as well. So he would have fought against the corporate favoritism, growing inequalities, neglect of marginalized sections of the society, advocating for a strong socialist and economic justice. Finally, you would have decried the tendency of India moving away from the Constitution's core values and by calling upon the people to rise to the occasion to defend, protect and save the Constitution. He rightly warned, if you do not defend our Constitution, democracy will be replaced by the dictatorship. Definitely we are finding such signs in the present days. Then what solutions Babasaheb Ambedkar would have offered apart from opposing this trend? Going by his vision and principles, he would have probably offered or proposed the following solutions according to me to overcome the present crisis in which the democracy and constitution is crumbling. He would have demanded the repeal of all draconian and anti-constitutional laws such as sedition law, section 124A of IPC, CAA, anti-conversion and jihad laws, amendments to the RTI including the latest Waqf Amendment Act 2025, the bulldozer system and misuse of EAPA, NSA and IT rules, and he would have ensured the right of freedom of expression including press freedom, restoring the autonomous status of Election Commission of India and other statutory institutions, depoliticizing the central agencies like ED, CBI, IT, NIA, etc., and would have proposed to establish an independent oversight mechanism, ensuring that all these institutions must serve the constitutional mandate and not of political parties in power. Likewise, he would have demanded that all anti-secular laws must be scrapped to affirm the state neutrality in religion. He would have strengthened laws against the caste and religious based violence, safeguarding Dalit, Adivasi, OBC and minority rights in order to put a break to the communal majoritarianism and to strengthen the parliamentary democracy. He would have banned the defections, suggesting necessary amendments to the present concentration of power in one hand, averting the emergence of single party dictatorship, which is the impending greatest threat to India's federal democracy. Then, number two, you would have reminded all of us that the Constitution is not a mere lawyer's document. It is a vehicle of life, and its spirit is always the spirit of age. It is a contract between the people and the rulers. If those who are in power betray this contract, the people have right to rise and reclaim their democracy. That is why he warned us that if we failed in our duty to make political democracy a social democracy as well, the democracy will crumble and we will be ruled by tyrants. Finally, number three, we are reminded of Babasaheb Ambedkar's clarion call to the future generations that the future of this country is in our hands. Rise, resist, reclaim the ideals of liberty, equality, and fraternity. India is yours to shape. Do not let it slip into the hands of those who seek to divide and oppress. So, my friends, under these circumstances, while celebrating the birthday of Babasaheb Ambedkar, it is our bounden duty to rise to the occasion, resist the communal, divisive, and authoritarian forces, and stop them from turning the country into an autocratic state, and to reclaim the core principles of preamble by defending the democracy and protecting the constitution, by rededicating and pledging ourselves to this noble task to make his vision a reality. That would be the greatest tribute that we are paying to the Babasaheb Ambedkar. So I hope that the entire citizenry of this India will awake and arise and know what are the developments that are taking place and take necessary steps unitedly to protect the vision of Babasaheb Ambedkar and protect the constitution ultimately, so that the democracy lives on and goes on and thrives on the will of the people. Thank you very much. Jai Bhim, Jai Bharat.